Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with Astrologer Shelley Overton. Hello, welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast for today, September 10th. And it's my birthday. So we're going to start off with that. This is what happened. I usually do this podcast on a specific computer, and I didn't have access to it yesterday. So we are doing it today. Anyway, I wanted to welcome you. My name is Shelley Overton. I'm an astrologer in Orlando, Florida. And we're just going to primp a little bit because, I want to look my best here. And we're going to talk about what's going on astrologically. So this week we have a number of events. We've got actually through the weekend too. So yesterday, which was Wednesday, we had Mars go retrograde. And what does that mean? Well, it means that the behaviors and actions that we are normally able to just do, we have an idea, we have a drive, we have an impulse to take action, and it doesn't happen. We're pulling back the energy, we're not going to do it, and it's frustrating. Anyway, so yeah, we've got the energy of Mars, which is driven and assertive, aggressive energy, now appearing to go retrograde or backwards from our perspective on Earth around the solar system. Mars, here's the Earth, here's Mars. Mars is on the backside of the orb, so he appears to be going backwards. And obviously he is not going backwards, but from our perspective, we're going through the sky also. We will ultimately get to a point where we are in a position where he is appearing to move forward again, and that happens in November. But it's November 13th, for those of you who are wanting to know specifically. But that isn't going to happen for about 8 weeks, and a little over 8 weeks. And that means that we are going to be going back over all of the energy of what we've been to and been doing for the last couple months. And let's see, we've got Mars today. Pardon me. I've got the angels coming in. They always mess with my nose when they're here. Yeah, so we've got the moon in Gemini today. We've got Mars at 28 degrees, which is the degree he retrograded at. I believe he gets a pretty good way. I could be wrong. Let me just double check. I want to say, I think he gets to 15, but I'm not totally sure. Yeah, he gets to 15 degrees of Aries. So he's going back over from 15 through 28. And well, he'll go 28 to 15 and then 15 to 28 before he leaves the sign early next year. And we've told you a little bit about what that means, but he is today currently in square to Venus. Venus is at 4 degrees of Leo. I'm sorry, my hair disturbs me. So I'm primping and messing, and there's a hair that's right in my face and the fans above me pushing it in. Sorry about that. Okay, so Venus at 4 degrees Leo, she is ready to make her debut. And let me tell you, Venus in Leo is very larger than life. She expounds information in a very larger than life way. It's a sign of drama, the dramatist, the leader. She wants her audience, she wants her people with her. And so we are coming into a very fiery Leo energy. And of course, we have all these fires going on all over the country. So it's not that surprising as an astrologer that we have fires, I think, in Oregon, Colorado, California. Those are just the ones I've heard of so far. And now Venus is in a fire sign, Mars is retrograde in a fire sign, but the moon is going into a water sign. So that will be potentially better for the fires, because when the moon goes in a water sign, things get dampened. And of course, the moon is currently in an air sign. He is at 20, or she, actually in Gemini, she might be a little bit both ways, he and she, because it's a sign of the twins. We get both sides of the story. And so moon going into Cancer is a very watery energy. It's hidden, so there's water available. It's just not necessarily out in the open, because water signs tend to pull inward emotionally, and whatever comes up, especially with Mars in Aries, that squares the sign of Cancer. So as the moon, let's see, it's at 21 Gemini today. It will go into Cancer probably overnight. Let's double check on that, shall we? So moon goes in, yeah, moon enters it at 4:23 in the morning Eastern, and that is 1:23 a.m. in California. And so all of tomorrow, Saturday, and until 11:32 a.m. Sunday, we're going to have the moon in Cancer. And so it rules the emotions, it rules family and home. We're going to want to hole up and pull back. So on top of all of this, we've got Jupiter going direct this weekend. Jupiter goes direct at 8:41 p.m. on Saturday the 22nd, which is 5:41 p.m. Pacific. And Jupiter is kind of the planet I wanted to talk a little bit more about. Sorry, that nose is going to get to me. I apologize. I'm going to just apologize in advance because I know it's going to bug me probably the whole time. It itches. Anyway, so Jupiter going direct is significant. It's the first of the three planets, excuse me, one second. Jupiter is a planet of expansion. He is a planet of transformation and bringing things out that were hidden. He is a spiritual entity. He seeks information and he wants to understand. He wants to clear the air and bring the ugly underside out. And I'm going to have to hang on. I'll probably edit all this out. Hang on one second. I have to go over my computer across the room. Just went black and I have to make sure it's awake. So I had to go grab the mouse. Again, okay. Here we are again. Jupiter expanding our world. So what I noticed this week is that as Jupiter is getting closer to changing, the energies are shifting. I'm feeling more bubbly and buoyed by this energy, and that's a really good thing. We've been living with retrograde planets for a few months, since May, I believe, was the first retrograde, and might have even been April. I'll just look at the other part of my calendar. It's much easier to read. Okay, so May, mid-May, when we had Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn go retrograde. Pluto was already retrograde in May, so I guess he did go retrograde in April. And so the energies up until yesterday, I would say, were somewhat depressive. We were feeling rather overwhelmed. And I listened to this other lady who does a podcast weekly. She has more of a psychic type podcast. Her name is Venus Andrecht, and her show is called Dear Venus, if you're interested in looking her up. She's kind of a wild, older woman, very interesting person. She's always seeking out new, interesting things to do and find out about. And she throws out what she calls mojos, which are really great energy, like energy going at you. And anyway, I've listened to her for probably 7 years. And she said that there's a name for this feeling. I think it's acedia, A-C-E-D-I-A. And it's an ancient Greek term. And it's this feeling of kind of meh, kind of depressive inertia. That's what we've been feeling. I felt it. I felt a lot of it recently. And I'm really excited for that to go away and to feel much better. And I think that Jupiter going direct this weekend is going to be a big positive towards ending that feeling. So having Jupiter go direct, of course, he's going to run headlong into Pluto fairly quickly, because Pluto's at 22 Capricorn. Jupiter right now is at 17 Capricorn, and then Saturn's at 25 Capricorn. So we've got this cluster of Capricorn planets that have been forcing us. It's kind of like the image that comes to my mind is like a bully pushing your face into the dirt, and you are being abused. And that's really kind of what the energy of this stellium really did as they're clustered in Capricorn, because we are seeing our karma. Historically, Capricorn is get your mouth together, is the karmic taskmaster of the zodiac. And so when we have this energy all clustered in Capricorn, including Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, it's like all of our karma is being shoved right in our faces. And it's not fun, and I say karma, and I have to qualify karma because I'm a practicing Buddhist. I've been Buddhist for over 30 years. And the view of karma as a Buddhist is you have a very practical, neutral sense of cause and effect. So you create a cause, energetically, you get an effect, whatever that may be. But the common American view of karma is a punishment, which it is not. That's much more a Judeo-Christian way of looking at karma. And it's a self-righteous kind of, I was right, you were wrong, you're going to get karma from it. That's not what karma is. Karma is a neutral, like energetically, karma doesn't smite or smack you down. What it does is it shows you the response. And so you get a cause and a response or an effect. And then when you react to that, when you react to it, you create the next cause. That reaction creates a cause, which gives you the next effect. So when we have patterns in our lives, we create a cause, get an effect, react, create a cause, get an effect. So if you change your reaction to that effect, you've changed the response to like this effect, you've changed the pattern. There's always like an echo of that pattern. And when you respond to that echo, the same way when you've changed here, you get an effect, and it may be similar to the effect you got before, but you say, no, that's not how I'm going to react to that again. That's when you know you changed. So you have the cause effect, the response is the next cause, that's changed. You still kind of get an echo effect of the old cause. You respond the new way, and then it's cleared karma. So that as a Buddhist, that's how it works. But we don't see karma that way. And karma in America is seen as like, they did mean things to people, they're going to get punished. As a Buddhist, really, when you do bad things to people, for me personally, my Buddhist practice is not about revenge karma. It's about everybody has a Buddha nature. And when you get the negative energy and you feel down and depressed, you respond to people in a compassionate way. And everybody has a Buddha nature somewhere in their lives, everyone, even people you don't think do, they do. And I don't always think so, but I know that that's true. We just have to rise above it in our own way of thinking, because when we rise above a situation, we see it from a new perspective, a higher perspective, like looking down on little ants making whatever they're making, taking things away, and they don't necessarily see the bigger picture. They only know their task. That's how we are to karma and to our problems. So when we expand our lives and raise our life condition, raise how we look at ourselves and everyone around us, we actually change the energy like ripples in a pond around us. So while this is very challenging to deal with, I absolutely have had lows and challenges from what's been going on. I have my own karma in my own life. We are able to see a bigger picture and see a positive future when these planets move forward. That's how it all relates, that Jupiter is a spiritual expander. And when he's retrograde, he's going back, expanding the understanding of Capricorn, which is about the taskmaster. He wants us to understand our karma. He wants us to understand why we're suffering and move beyond why we're suffering. And as he's gone back to gather information, now he goes direct. He goes over Pluto, which Pluto's one of, besides finding solutions to problems, Pluto is about value, solution finding, and showing us the hidden, or making us aware of the deep emotional, psychological, hidden energies, so our dark side. And so we are now going to have Jupiter go back over Pluto and talk to Pluto, because Pluto's still in a fact-finding mission. Pluto's still digging up all sorts of grunge, trust me. And that's about us, and that's about the country and the world, and how we all interact, how we all have psychological shadows. And so Jupiter goes back over Pluto, and now Pluto is saying, hey, conversation, I'm going to tell you about what I found. And Jupiter was seeking out information on a more spiritual plane. He may have been a little bit more superficial about what he gathers, because Jupiter's nature is to skate along the surface. So he's kind of in Capricorn's realm, trying to understand the big picture Capricorn. Oh, I see you like structure. I see you like authority over other things. I see you like your ducks in a row. You like tradition. You don't like things changing and moving. Okay, I understand that. Now he's going to go over Pluto, and Pluto's going to say, yeah, but because of that, you know what I found out? I found out that this entity is controlling that entity, and that entity is feeling victimized by this entity, and so on and so forth. And so what happens is Jupiter gathers that information up from Pluto, and then he gets over to Saturn. And Saturn says, but you have to be responsible for it. You don't get away from it. Fortunately, and I will look this up. What the heck? There it is. It's a small confined area. What can I say? So Jupiter gets the information from Pluto, which is salacious, is deep, it's gross, it's not really fun, quite honestly. Certainly as a Scorpio rising moon and Neptune, I am very aware of the ability to see more than most people see. I pick up things intuitively. And so people, you know, en masse, I should say, the collective group of people can be in a situation and just feel like, you know, I understand what's going on. Look at, we're all heading in this direction. Come on, guys, we're going in this direction. Where Scorpio says, wow, why are you heading in that direction? What is it that that direction appeals about to you? And so Scorpio looks at human behavior and intuits and understands a greater psychological structure of human behavior. Now, Saturn is only 3 degrees away from Pluto. So Saturn, the structure, and Pluto, the discerner of the hidden, and honestly, that which people don't want to show everybody, is the dark side. Who wants to really deal with the dark side? I mean, other than Scorpios. So we've got this energy coming in where Jupiter loves to expose the hidden. He comes out, his sign, Sagittarius, comes after Scorpio. So he's all about making sure we all know what's going on. Pluto wants to keep it hidden because to Pluto, it's currency. It has value. Pluto takes the information and says, oh, I may need this someday. If I'm attacked, if someone comes after me, I will have something to throw back at them. So that's what Pluto does. That's what Scorpio does. Scorpio collects the information, good or bad. A lot of times it's the hidden, it's the understanding. It isn't necessarily directly told to a Scorpio or directly told to Pluto. They understand the nature of it. So they are kind of dangerous because you can't hide stuff from a Scorpio. Scorpios know it. They just know it. I mean, I knew stuff about Trump when he went into office. I knew the connections he had. I knew the kind of person he had. I knew what he was doing. Same about Bush, same about Obama. And, you know, it's like you just know the kind of person that they are. You know the kind of people they're hanging out with. And now Jupiter is going to be going back over Pluto, and he's going to be exposing all of it. It's coming out because this is like the last hurrah for that expansion for another 12 years. Jupiter gets back into Capricorn in about 12 years. So he's going over this right now, and we see it every 12 years, 12 to 14 years, whatever the cycle is. And so he's going over Pluto saying, give me your best. I'm going to expose this. And Pluto retrograde is still collecting, may not be done. He won't be done till 2024 collecting the goods. Trust me, this will not be all over. Whatever we're experiencing in these Capricorn times aren't necessarily going to be over. And even, I think I mentioned last week, 21-year cycles when Saturn comes back, you know, in 3/4 of a cycle around the zodiac, and he'll be in square again. Also 7 years, 14 years he opposes, 21 years he squares again, and 28 years we relive it. So those 7-year cycles, we're going to have this energy coming up again. And so until those karmic cycles have been resolved, we will see them every so many years. And then, of course, Jupiter, like I said, he'll be here in about 12 years. So you can almost guarantee when he goes through Capricorn, and then Saturn, I'll see in 12 years, Capricorn will almost be in opposition. Saturn will be in Cancer almost. So we'll be seeing some interesting stuff again at that point, about 12 to 14 years. And that's what astrology is about. It's about cycles. So I'm going to put this up here. I'm guessing right about here is going to be, and this is all anticipation of having this chart right here. I don't have it as I'm recording this, but Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn are right here, and Jupiter's crossing over Pluto, and then he's going to hit Saturn. And that's when we're going to see a lot of authority figures taken to task where they're not going to get out of it. This is the final pass of Jupiter and Pluto, and Jupiter and Saturn. Let me just look that up when Jupiter hits Saturn. Where are we at? We're in September, and Jupiter doesn't get there. I think it's even later than the end of the year. No, it's not. It's the end. It's November. Oh, I take it back. It was mid-December. Mid-December, Jupiter and Saturn are literally both at 29 degrees, the end degrees. So I can guarantee you December, with both of those planets combined in Capricorn, and then both going into Sagittarius, mid-December will be one of the, I've got chills, one of the largest months in our country for what's going to happen. And of course, that's after the election. So you know there is going to be a tremendous amount of upheaval coming from the election that we're not even going to see until mid-December. And keep in mind, again, that Mercury goes direct on the election day. And I think Pluto, when does Pluto go direct? Pluto goes direct, I want to say mid-December or mid-November. No, mid-October. Okay, so let's see what else is happening then. Oh, Uranus is also still retrograde in December. And no, Neptune goes direct the last week of November. So he is going to actually, while he's while Neptune is retrograde, he's been going over also the emotional connection to everything, but he expresses himself through water. So while he's been in Pisces retrograde, he is a little bit more cognizant of the illusions of what has been pulled over on him. So the combination of Jupiter going direct, and then he's at 17 today, 3 days he will be going direct, and also very quickly running smack dab into a sextile with Neptune. So Earth and water will probably give some, I'm hoping, some rain to California. But Neptune retrograde actually acts a bit more like the Earth energy. So I'm not 100% sold on the fact that that's going to happen. But over the weekend, so this is, I'm talking early next week, over the weekend, the moon will be in water. So that, I think, will help a certain amount of the fires. I'm from Colorado. I don't know if you read the news, but Colorado went from 88 the day before yesterday to 30 degrees overnight and snow. So they had some snow around Denver, and then they're going back up to like 75 tomorrow, I think is 75. So yeah, that's typical Colorado weather. What can I say? But the snow is representative of Neptune, and air signs are cold. So we've got the moon in an air sign today. So that is cooling things down. Here in Orlando, things are a little bit cooler as well. Um, Thankfully, it was mid 90s for a good portion of the week, and then 60 to 90% humidity and 100% at times. So it's been not terribly fun, honestly. I mean, the weather definitely is hot and muggy, or cold and rainy, or it's basically fires and rain. And I think that's probably going to go on for a bit. Again, Venus in Leo, she'll be there for a month. So we're going to be seeing interactions with her as she continues to move forward. She's coming into a direct trine with Mars. So I should probably talk a bit about that as Venus and Mars really approach that trine. You're going to see a lot more energy pumped into uh, major shifts and changes. I would say monetary changes, because Venus rules money systems and the economy. Mars is going to be retrograde. He's going to want to do things, probably sell off. I'm going to just give you a heads up. Venus will be direct and Mars will be retrograde when they trine. So Mars is probably going to want to just get rid of whatever isn't working in the stock market, because he's very brash and quick to do that. That could be a regret when he goes direct. And I don't know how long before he catches up to Venus, but um, it could work out just because of the trine. But the retrograde Mars, retrograde Mars is going to be about kind of like a being held to task for the actions. So as Mars now is retrograde, he went retrograde last night at 6:22, and that would be Wednesday the 9th at 6:22 p.m. Eastern. So he's now having to go back over his actions, his behaviors. Did that work? Did it not work? How can I do something to rectify what I've already done? And if he creates or initiates some new behavior, chances are he's not going to be too happy when Mars goes direct, and then he runs headlong into the fallout from that particular shift and action that he took. Trines will ultimately turn out positive, but they can be painful. And that means Mars is aggressive, feminine energy for Venus. And so that's male female friction. And that could be a breakup. My daughter's boyfriend is a Capricorn, and Mars directly has been affecting him lately. And so a retrograde Mars could very well be the end of that. My daughter is in Aries. We'll see. I'm hoping that everything works out, but it's going to be a difficult time. Anyone who has fire signs, or let me see what else, in conjuncts, which would be, so Pisces, Taurus, Virgo, and Scorpio are going to probably feel this if you're more directly hit with your sun or other planets by this Mars retrograde. It's in my house of work. I have a Scorpio rising. It's in my house of work. Work's ruled by Virgo. I have 4 planets in Virgo, and they all are in conjunct to Mars. So that's a difficult aspect. In conjunct is 150 degrees. So that can be a tough friction going on in your chart. My chart right now, I think I mentioned a little bit about it, but I've got an opposition to my sun with Neptune right now. I've got a trine, and again, remember those trines can be difficult. Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn. Jupiter is exactly trine my sun today. He goes direct in 3 days. We'll see what happens. Hopefully it's going to be a positive forward motion, because I do look forward to the positive forward motion of Jupiter. The retrograde can be a little bit more difficult, and I got a cat. Ginger, stop that. Stop that. Oh my goodness. And yeah, so trines are tough. I know other astrologers. Anne Ortley's birthday's tomorrow. Happy birthday, Anne. And she's also got that Neptune opposition and a trine to Jupiter. So it's been tough. I know she got COVID. I had COVID earlier in the year, I'm pretty sure. And, she's got some foot issues. I have some kidney issues. I think it's tough. Virgo rules health and service to other people. So health issues can be affecting Virgos right now. I love Virgo, but it's not an easy sign to be, let me tell you. Okay. Speaking of Virgo, Mercury is in Libra right now. So he is in conjunct to Uranus. Mercury and Uranus, when they are in any aspect, like to, make things a little bit mischievous. And so Uranus at 10 degrees retrograde, he just went retrograde, in the last 2 weeks? So he's retrograde. Mercury is direct currently and in a difficult aspect to Uranus. So that means that the collective is being frustrated with the smaller mindset. It can be the collective and the individual mindset. It can be appliances and internet. So personally, I think I was telling someone today, now I have 4, but I have I do have 5. So currently I have 5 computers in my room within 8 feet of myself right now, and 2 work. So that kind of shows you what I have to deal with Mercury and Virgo conjunct Uranus. So Uranus is a very larger than life energy, and he rules lightning and tornadoes and inclement weather on a large scale. He rules the internet, anything that is affecting the masses of people, and also technology. He rules satellites, chemical explosions. He's also the sign and planet, so Uranus and Aquarius. They are the overseers of mental health. So we are seeing a lot more issues with anxiety, which Uranus is the ruler of that realm, and Mercury to a lesser extent. But yes, the air signs and the intellectualization of things. So if you are dealing with anxiety, I had some anxiety. My daughter's been dealing with anxiety. I think I mentioned some anxiety issues last week and how to deal with it. But just know that when Uranus is affecting us, and also remember that we've got Saturn and Jupiter going into Aquarius this year, which rule mental health. And so we will be seeing more of this erratic behavior coming out of people as they start to shift and understand the collective vibrational increase. We are raising our vibration to a new level, and Aquarius is the jumping off point for that energy. It's not easy. Actually, I want to tell you because I wrote it down. I just don't know if I wrote it in my ephemeris here. Let me just look real quick. I had a few keynotes. Oh, I think I did. Yay. Yeah, some of the things that have been affected lately that I wanted to mention. And so I was watching the Twilight Zone. The old Twilight Zones are on Netflix. I love Twilight Zone. And so there was an episode, the boxing episode. It was like in the first season. So it's like episode 4 or 5, somewhere in there. And it was this man who was a boxer, and he was staying, like renting a room from a mother and her son. And he was kind of a has-been boxer, a middleweight, and he was going to go back into the ring and do one final fight. And he was really wanting this to be a turnaround for him. But the little boy had a belief system where he could see him winning the fight, but he had to believe. And the man got in the ring and he ended up getting knocked out, and he went to the count of 9. And at 9, the time stopped, and it was this little boy. And they showed the next scene where he goes back and he talks to the little boy he's been living with and says, I won. And the little boy says, yeah, that's great. I knew you could do it. And they hug. And then he's like, I wished for you to win and you did. And he's like, well, but I don't know. I don't know if that's really who I am or what really happened. He's like, no, you got to believe, you got to believe. And the man was like, well, I'm not really sure. And he couldn't get on board with the fact that the wish had helped him and that wishful thinking really was a thing. And then the next scene was him on the mat getting counted out, and he actually lost. And he didn't believe. So he went back to where he was. That kind of thinking, I know it sounds unrealistic, but that's the point. Capricorn is realistic. Aquarius is idealistic. So we're moving into an alchemist area. We're going from physical, tangible, I'll believe it when I see it, to I'll see it when I believe it. That's what it is. So Jupiter hitting Pluto, gathering information, touching on Saturn, saying this is what it is. You have to own it. Owning it does not mean blame. Owning it means, oh, I see that that's how it is. Okay, I got it. And now I'm going to make a change. It's a positive thing. So don't be the finger pointer, because that's really ego. Ego points fingers and says, blame, blame, blame. And then the person getting the finger pointed says, victim, victim, victim. That's all ego. What is not ego is ownership. And that's a higher vibration of Capricorn. So if we can go towards ownership, saying, I don't want to do that. That's not who I am anymore. I'm this person. I own that. Yes, that would be the logical way for everybody and how it's been, but it's not what I want. I want this. And I'm going to go towards this, even if that is how you think it should be. And trying to do this is a bit difficult because I have all these people pulling on me. I'm going to still do it because I know in my heart, I know in my soul, I'm here for a reason, and that's the way it is. It's not that way. It's that way. That's where we're heading. Anyway, let's see. I think I've touched on every planet and subject. Sun in Virgo. Right now, Sun's shining on the Virgo energy, so it's highlighting task orientation, administration, teachers, being of service, and of course, all the Virgos' birthdays. So on that note, I want to wish you happy birthday to all my friends. I've got a couple friends whose birthday is today. Arnold Palmer was today. He was a wonderful man here in Orlando. He started the Arnold Palmer Hospital for Women and Children, Winnie Palmer Hospital, and he was a tremendous family man who really appreciated women and what they could do in the world and what they really can contribute, and their health. So I will always have a very soft spot in my heart for Arnold Palmer. And yeah, Jose Feliciano is also today too. So, okay, take care, and we'll see you again next week. Have a good weekend. Let that Jupiter energy really make you feel good, okay? Bye. Oh, and if you're interested, I'm going to say this before the end. If you're interested in helping support the podcast, you can go to Patreon. I've got information in all the descriptions of the videos and the podcast on SoundCloud. But Patreon, I've got a number of different tiers set up, so you get extras, discounts on readings with me, or newsletters, or private readings, and things like that. So go check me out at patreon.com/Angelic Zodiac, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. And it's frustrating. Actually, this is going to disturb me, so I'm just going to put this down. It's a chair. So there we go. We'll just make that go away. Get down. Get down. My cat is climbing the screen outside the window. Sorry. You just see. I'll show you, those of you watching the podcast. I'm giving you a very brief view because this room is an utter mess. So anyway, yeah, she just wants in the patio because the patio is hard for her to get into without opening the door. There is a screen hole, but she doesn't know how to go in. So she's like, hey, I'm here, I'm hanging. But anyway, yeah, that's for those of you who are watching me. Those of you who are listening are probably like, what? Anyway, okay, so Jupiter, it's just going to be one of those days, isn't it? It's just itchy face and cats climbing screens. Okay, yeah, Jupiter, my apologies. Those of you who are like new to this channel, like, she's such a flake, but I'm not a flake. I'm actually, well, I'm pretty aware of everything going on. It's just, you know, because I have high energy, things tend to get very wild at times. Okay.
You have been listening to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show. If you would like to get a private reading with Shelley, please contact her through angeliczodiac.com or at so@angeliczodiac.com. You can arrange a reading through the Angelic Zodiac page at facebook.com as well. Check out Angelic Zodiac on Instagram for up-to-date information on events, discounts, blogs and planetary transits at Angelic Zodiac 1 on Instagram. If you would like to see Shelley's art, ShelleyOverton.com, or for astrology art, go to astroart.net. Music provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompatech.com. Other music will be credited within the show. Advice given in the program is intended for entertainment purposes only. Join us here next week for more of the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast. You can find us on iTunes and Google Play, and where podcasts are accessed.